publishing decency sector, which have now got me the error message from company check. So they're called FF&P, Fleming Family and Partners. They've got 42 Ponzi schemes in the company that I just visited, and that is there, if they'll let me go back. So that's one of them, one of the shelves. FF&P CM Salamanca Management LLP, Ely House, 37 Dover Street, London, 41S 4NG. The directors are listed there, but they're not directors, they're just a series of Ponzi shelves. And they're Fleming Family and Partners, Admin Services Limited and Partnership Services Limited. Very thick blue lines, and when you look at the original companies a little bit further back in the FF&P empire, this is just one of them. Okay, so 42 Ponzis, and you've got keep going back till we see if we can find that site that we looked at. There we go. There we go. FF&P. Let's read them out. Or let's have a look at the top. Get the registered details again. FF&P Partnership Admin Services Limited. So this is in the publishing sector, which is relatively innocent. But running Ponzi's in any sector is not at all decent. 15 Suffolk Street, London, United Kingdom, SW1Y4HG. There we go. FF&P Partnership Admin Services Limited. 14 appointments at 14 dissolved companies. They're ever so nervous. Andrew Fleming Green has bailed out of almost all of those companies. Many of them are Christianity frauds, and those are the ones that he was associated with in Syria, and the links to Lord Steele of Akewood. Okay, so here you've got a director ID 9141325525, year of birth unknown. For corporate structure reasons, you cannot have a company that gets born into this world. The computer has become very, very sticky since I went back to the Fleming family. They are as shielded as anybody I can ever find, but they have got links to Baroness Cox. Okay, that's the Coxes that are also really, really difficult to find, with the 5 homes in America. Okay, nothing at the bank. Nothing substantive anywhere through all of this. And let me go back to so what crashed it was just the search for FF&P. I kind of see that listing of the Ponzis now, or was that we went to the directors for them? FF&P 2003 Investor 1 LLP. Okay, so you've got a whole series of those, 1 to 42, 15 Suffolk Street, London. Street Partnership Services Limited, FF&P Partnership Admin Services Limited, Artemis Cecilia Fitzallen Howard. There's a Howard in all the villainous stories, all the way back to the Thomas More movie. Caspian Noel Arthur Watkins, FF&P Investments, Lady Jacinth Fitzallen Howard, Lady Laura Jameson, Lady Marigold Magdalen Jameson, Lord Mark Fitzallen Howard, loads of Howards, Miss Dorothy Frances Fleming, Mr. Alexander Charles Haney Will, that's the Haney name again, the Tweedsmuir Buchan frauds, Mr. Alexander Douglas Newbury, also in the literary sector, the Tweedsmuirs, Mr. Alexander Guy Johnson, Mr. Alexander Hugh Loader, Mr. Anthony John Buxton, Mr. Anthony Craven Chambers, Mr. Christian Alison Catherine Ward, Mr. Christopher Michael Fleming, and we get back to my locals, feudal landlords all the way into Tel Aviv, Mr. Christopher Roxburgh Balfour, Mr. Daniel Diggory Laycock, Mr. David Richard Loader, Mr. Ewan Follett Bell, Mr. Fergus Herman Robert Fleming, Mr. Frederick Peter Fitzallen Howard, Mr. Frederick Richard Fleming, Mr. George Christopher Ritson Thomas, all of them live. All of them live for all of the time, right through that period there, which will be 10 or 12 years. Mr. Harry Geoffrey Fleming, Mr. Hugh Valentine Simon Williams, Mr. James Angus Wilfred Thompson, Mr. James Fionn Taylor, Mr. James Gerard Alljoe Jameson, Mr. James Robert Loader, Mr. John Alistair Loader, Mr. John Gerald Nicholson, Mr. John Jasper Grimmond, Joe Grimmond again, Mr. Jonathan Francis Wheel, Mr. Luke Cospatrick Douglas Home. Yeah, the people who look after Africa and tuck it away in secret places. Mr. Nicholas Duncan Wigham, Mr. Richard Andrew Fitzallen Howard, Mr. Richard Anthony Novice, Mr. Richard Douglas Schuster, Mr. Robert Alexander Johnson, Mr. Robert Fleming, Mr. Robert Laycock, Mr. Rupert Michael Fleming, Mr. Rupert Novice, Mr. Simon Alljoe Jameson, Mr. Tara, vast tracts of land, John Douglas Home, just in the road at Coldstream, Mr. Walter Lennox Haney, all of the villains in Scotland since the Braveheart movie was made, and we had our throat cut for disciplinary reasons. That's the female gender gets shagged on the first night of their wedding. Mr. William John Filer, Miss Amelia Fitzallen Howard, Miss Angela Bell, Miss Annabel Theodora Novice, Miss Audrey Sale, Miss Beatrice Laura Newbury, Miss Caroline Fiona Wilmot Sitwell, all the way back into the Prime Ministers, as far back as you can remember. Miss Caroline Mary Fleming, Miss Catherine Danger Fleming, Miss Daisy Alice Victoria Watkins, Miss Eleanor Rosalind Mary Wheel. Oh, and look how far down the page we are already. All of them are active for all of the registered time in the graph. Okay, this is the literary piss artist sector, and the warmongering. Steal it from the MI6 vents and launder it using the SOE into Norway or anywhere you choose, anywhere across the brutalised world. Miss Enid Alison Coburn Haney, or maybe Cockburn, depending on your linguistic habits. Miss Eve Lucinda Williams, Miss Fiona Elizabeth Haney, that's the Haneys of the clock face in the Westminster Parliament building, and the treason that is the 39 steps pre-planned profiteering campaign. Miss Georgia Celia Grimmond, Miss Georgia Blanche Newbury, Miss Gillian Newbury, Miss Glenda Katrina Will, Miss Janet Susan Filer, Miss Joanna Mary Jameson, Miss Joan McDermott, Miss Jocelyn Isabel Ann Floyd, Miss Josephine Nina Fitzallen Howard, Miss Judith Marion Fleming, Miss Kate Grimmond, Miss Catherine Clare Romaine Taylor, Miss Kathleen Alexandra Loder, Miss Katharina Jane Sparrow, Miss Laura Lara Kate Buxton, Miss Laura Annabel Stacey Watkins, Miss Lorna Marilyn Gunning, Miss Lucy Elizabeth Arnott, Miss Lydia Nina Fitzallen Howard, Miss Mary Jessie Grimmond, Miss Nicola Judith Bowden oh, the Bowdens, Miss Rose Clement Grimmond, Miss Rosemary Isabel Chambers, Miss Sylvia Marie Johnson, Miss Vera Johnson, Miss Victoria Margaret Fleming, the Honourable take her word for that, Lorna Frances Schuster, the Honourable Claire Nell Denison Pender. That could be the reason why Norman Pender, the Borders councillor, is on a paedophilia charge. It may well be the reason why Norman Pender is on the paedophilia charge. He's from the legendary Hoyk team that scared the shit out of me. He played for Scotland many times, and there's a joke in the book about him and his wife travelling with the Scottish rugby squad when they got held up because their aeroplane was deemed to be unsafe for use and they had to bring the engineers in, and Norman, whose wife was very nervous about flying, some of the other squad members calmed her down with a cigarette that was an exploding cigarette, and Norman is now a paedophile. But maybe we have the reason for that here. Okay, yeah, the newspapers and David Cameron have visited the Borders Council in recent weeks because they know that I am onto all of their crimes and all of their cover-ups. That involves a man called Mitchell who temporarily stood in for Tracy, who's always unfit for work, but I will not give her surname because she's threatening to sue me. I think they maybe jailed Norman for a few days before they got the headlines out of the Southern Reporter, who's run by a friend of Prince Charles and the royal affiliation to the Prince's Trust. I've made a video on her. Her name is Southern Reporter, black-haired wench, part of the Johnson Press Ashley Highfield empire, and her name is Susan Windram, with links to the Gala Chambers of Commerce and to the Toms of the solicitor sector. Right then, let's move back to the tax havens and the warmongers in the publishing sector. Okay, I cannot find the list of Ponzi schemes, and it will not let me look for the let's try again for FF and P and see if I can get it to open this time. FF and P, and I'll try putting in a few little tricks that are known only to unfunded fraud investigators. There we go. Right then, 1 to 10 of 20 company results. Oh, this is not, the FF and P is not unique to Fleming Family and Partners Limited. Okay, because these are different. FF and P, New Media. is that FF&P Investor 1 honestly there were 40 plus, but I cannot find my route into that now. Anyway, that's enough to be going on with. Take my word for it, there were 40, and we've got a massive list of companies that are legitimately tied into publications out of the City of London for this legendary family in the literary sector, but all of their links to the geopolitical manipulation companies have been withdrawn. Fleming pulled out of the Syrian connection in, I think it was 2012 or 2014, around about the time that Gordon Bowden was talking to me and revealed their linkage to that. Like the Michael Moore revelations, it's only one or two companies. They've got 40 or so Ponzi scams registered in London. I don't know how much tax comes back to the Chancellor that we talked about in the Norman Lamont linkages to these people, and I cannot find the Norman Lamont linkage to them again, despite the fact that I've been looking for it for 2 hours, but I will get it. Bye bye.